A new effort to push Elizabeth Warren into the field of Democrats vying for the White House as a group of some 24 current and former New Hampshire lawmakers sign a letter calling on Senator Warren to run. State Representative Rennie Cushing saying, quote, "We're urging Senator Elizabeth Warren to join the 2016 race for president because we know firsthand how important a robust primary debate of our progressive values is to New Hampshire voters." Joining me now to talk about that and more, Chris Plante, syndicated radio talk show host of The Chris Plante Show, and Leslie Marshall, syndicated radio talk show host of The Leslie Marshall Show, and a Fox News contributor. Good to see you both.
Hey, Shannon.
Good to see you, Shannon.
All right, Chris, I'll start with you. I got to tell you, just hearing Democrats talking around the Hill and around Washington, they seem like they really want to have some options if Hillary Clinton doesn't survive this latest round of scandal. Is it Elizabeth Warren?
I hope so, for my purposes, my own selfish, self-interested purposes. Foka Hannes, who's been, she has no accomplishments to speak of. Every job she got because she was allegedly a Cherokee Indian, which she's not. She's the author of "You Didn't Build That," and the government built the roads, so we're going to have to take everything that you own from you. If she wants to run to represent the left wing of the Democrat Party, I welcome that, but it does mean that they're getting very nervous about Hillary, and they're not confident that Hillary is going to, finish out even the campaign.
All right. Well, Leslie, do you think Elizabeth Warren could win just the nomination for the party, but do you think she could win in the general?
I think no and no. I don't think she can win the nomeration. I don't think she can win in a general election, which is one of the reasons. Chris and I both don't. Chris wants her to run. I don't want her to run. But I have to say, this doesn't have to do with the email scandal. When we look back at Democrats, there are many Democrats that don't feel that Hillary Clinton is left enough. They view her as more of a centrist, a moderate, and they also want some new blood and some new names in the mix. Elizabeth Warren's name has been coming up for a very long time, as has Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont. So there are people out there that want what they feel the more progressive values that they hold to be represented by people like Elizabeth Warren. This does not have to do with emails. Like I said, when we look at polls, there are Democrats that just aren't big fans of Hillary Clinton and don't find her progressive and liberal, if you will, enough. And they do view Elizabeth Warren as a better alternative.
All right.
And it does, if I could just real quickly, it just shows how far left the Democrat Party has gone, and Bernie Sanders is a socialist, so I'm glad they're coming out of the closet.
But listen, if he runs, you want Elizabeth Warren to run. I want Bernie Sanders to run. That'd make a very interesting campaign. All right. Speaking of those emails, Leslie, that you were talking about, if Warren runs, her presumed Democratic rival in the primaries would be Hillary Clinton. After defending her private email server use last week, we're now hearing from the State Department yet another explanation about why she may not have signed that separation form. Listen to this.
Secretaries of State often do not sign this form as it is a step to revoking their own security clearance. There's a long tradition of secretaries of state making themselves available to future secretaries and presidents, and secretaries are typically allowed to maintain their security clearance and access to their own records for use in writing their memoirs and the like.
Okay, so if that is the ho-hum explanation on why this is how it works, they don't want to, give up their security. Why did it take a week for us to find that out, Chris?
Well, first of all, she said it is a step toward revoking your own security clearance. She didn't say that it means you lose your security clearance for filling this out. So it doesn't mean that you lose your security clearance. Why are we getting this is the drip, drip every day. It's a different story. Yesterday's story was different. Last week's story was different. I expect tomorrow and next week we'll have different versions of the truth. And then someday the document will show up and she will have signed it, because this is just the way this city is, and it's the way the Clintons are at this point. It's the way this administration goes. And the truth is hard to find in this town these days.
Always, I find. All right, Leslie, final word to you.
Chris, I don't agree. I mean, quite frankly, President Obama is not running again. He doesn't, necessarily have the greatest love for Hillary. They definitely were opponents in the past. And the State Department, I think, quite frankly, I think what we heard was, I don't have an answer for you on this. Next day, I do have an answer. She didn't sign it. Next day, and this is why she didn't sign it, and she's not the only former Secretary of State not to have signed it. In other words, no law, rule, regulation, guideline broken, at least in this area of the scandal.
I noticed that even Leslie qualified what she just said there. So we're going to leave it there. Chris and Leslie, great to see you both. Thank you for your time.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Shannon.